we're going to be talking about relationships with our children, more like family relationships. So as in our previous videos, we've talked about relationships in the workplace, and we are still in the series of relationships. So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about relationships in our family life, and specifically relationships with our children.
As a matter of fact, we are not just talking about any kind of relationship, we're talking about how to build healthy relationship with your children. And so this series or this episode is specifically for young mothers, young parents, people that are having children or difficulty with having relationship with their children. And if you're single like me, and you want to, learn how to build a relationship with your children, and this episode is for you. And today, we're looking at it from a mother's perspective.
Exactly.
We're taking it section by section.
Exactly. And because we're looking from a mother's perspective, we have the special guest with us today.
I've introduced a fellow woman in the hood, in the family. No, she is a mother of two wonderful children, a male and a female children, so that I don't say that. No, male and a female child. So there's a balance. She has raised a male child, she has raised a female child. She's also a voice in a sphere of influence. She's a career woman, and she's not a mistress. She is not a mistress.
But she's not a Mr.
She is a doctor.
Okay.
Yes,
Doctor.
put the respect to name. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have Dr. Fikemi Iji in our midst.
Right.
So much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very, very much. So we are glad to have you in our midst today. And without much further ado, we're going to dive straight into the topic for today: relationships with our families and our children. So before we start asking questions and scrutinizing the whole thing, how about you explain to us how you've been able to balance relationship with children, work and family? Just a brief biography on your daily life.
As a mother of two, as a career woman.
So I think it's always like a juggling experiment, trying to balance motherhood, wifehood, and careerhood, if there's any English like that. But really, honestly, I think for me, it's more about, giving attention to what demands the attention at that particular point in time. Yes, it's putting my life in kind of a quadrant. If something is urgent and important, then that takes precedence over something that is either not urgent or not important. For some, maybe urgent, not important, or important, but not urgent.
The down part is the importance, then the upper part is the urgent.
Yes, exactly. Like why and then it's scale like it.
Well, like a graph.
Absolutely. Like a sick child, for example, needs an urgent and an important reaction as compared to maybe going to work at that point in time. You can call in and say there's something that is urgent that you need to attend to. So it's, just trying to find that balance that whatever needs the most attention gets the most attention at that particular time.
Okay. So real quick, in your opinion, why do you think it's important to build a relationship with our children? Because we've heard people say, I'm your parents, not your friend. I'm not meant to be your friend. I'm your parent. I'm here to train you. So, but other people still say you need a relationship. And then there's been a kind of discrepancy in the world where people are like, because I'm your parents, I don't necessarily have to be your friend. You have to do what I say and that kind of stuff. And in the process of trying to do or be a disciplinarian, they lose out on friendship and relationships. And then probably children are scared of them and so on and so forth. So yeah, in your own opinion, what makes you think is important to build that relationship with the children?
Oh, well, I was lucky enough to have to still have, because both of my parents are alive, to have that good relationship with my parents. And there was nothing that I wanted more than to even improve upon what I got from my parents. So for me, I think you want to be parent enough for a child to guide them, and also friend enough for them to be able to trust you with whatever issues that they are going through. So it's still a delicate balance. You don't want to over-parent a child such that they don't find you as a friend, or be too friendly to a child that they don't even see you as a parent. So it's still that delicate balance finding that soft spot where you are both to a child, both a friend and also a parent. Yeah. I mean, my son is 6 feet tall, 6'4". I still tell him that if I need a ladder to climb to slap your face, I'm getting angry, as a parent when I'm asserting an issue. But he knows that I'm his friend as well. So, I think it's important for parents to prioritize both. Don't over-parent and don't become overtly friendly that the child disrespects you.
All right, so makes sense. But I think a follow-up question for that is, what would you suggest are some strategies to be able to connect with your children on that level? Because, like you said, it's like a thin line between respect and disrespect. you respect me, but at the flip, maybe they're enjoying the whole, let's say the whole feel of the moment and how things are going, and then subconsciously they disrespect you by saying some words or saying something that doesn't resonate with you. So what's the strategy for you to maintain that parenthood and friendship?
I'll give a typical example of that kind of situation. I don't know, once you reach teenagehood,
Yes.
it's easy to disrespect. Period. I can testify to that, where just because your parent don't understand, you're like, mommy, how far? Understand, and then before you know it, you're already telling your mommy, don't you are you alright?
I feel with teenagers, they're at the point where influx of information.
Yeah.
So a lot of information is coming yourself, and you are trying to guide them through a specific part. So because of the idea that they have so many options, that they've seen so many things, they believe they know more than you. So what strategies do you use to balance it?
Okay, so for me, I think a typical day starts for me by praying for my children. So what I do more often than not is to get to their rooms. In the process of waking them up, they know that I'm there. Good morning. And then I pronounce blessings on them. You are blessed in the name of Jesus. You are blessed going out. You are blessed coming in. The Spirit of God is upon you. You know what to do. Those things are a bonding moment for them waking up. So they already know that it's a good day. You understand? It's like setting the right atmosphere per time, per day. So I start from there and I'm like, okay, what are the things that you need to do today? Then even aside, setting them right on every day on a good day, I try to look for their interests, because they are two different people. So each person has what their interests are.
Yeah.
And for me, connecting, especially intellectually, it's a lot easier for me to say, what do you think? How do you think this? So giving them the power to make decisions for themselves, or to guide them in a decision, or to iron out an issue or something that they want, helps build that kind of trust and confidence that they can be friends with me and trust me with whatever information or whatever thing, that they are going through. So it's when you don't have the trust, then you don't have that bond or the relationship that can make you or make them want to trust you or with information. And of course, teenagers, both of them are teens. Teenagers always think they know more than. And I try to tell them sometimes that, look, you are not going to live long enough to make all the mistakes that you learn from. That have been a teenager before. Though my times were different, but this was how I handled. This is my opinion. I don't want to indoctrinate my child about anything. I want them to discover for themselves, while have equipped them with the necessary information and the tools to make the right decision. So that's always been my goal. And because, I'm not I like people who think as well. I want you to think for yourself, see for yourself, like the Bible says, the Berean Christians, they had to go back to find out if what they were told were true. So it's the same way I try to guide them in the direction that I think it's best for their lives, even career-wise. I never ever sat my children down and said, you should become a doctor, or you should become this or this. What are your interests? What are the things that you think you might want to do for the rest of your life? And then we'll try to, kind of guide them in that direction. These are the options. Because I remember my daughter, she's very artsy. She likes drawing. She likes, doing some handiwork or creative work. And I'm like, okay, this girl likes to build things. She was thinking she would become an artist. And so I gave her all the options. She ended up, choosing or wanting to choose a career in architecture, which then metamorphed into civil engineering because she thinks she can do more, in terms of infrastructure and building and helping more lives. So it's always been about giving them the necessary tools to help them make the decision that is best for themselves, like helping them become a better version of themselves.
So will you say correct parenthood, like right from your previous answer, like correct parenting rather? Would you say parenting is like you said, you prayed for them? Would you say that is the spiritual part? You commit their parenting to God, but then the friendship you build it yourself, like trust and
yeah. Because no child comes with a manual. Everybody knows that you have to like almost figure it out. But you also have tools that can help you become a better person, even in parenting. Like I think for me that I learned a lot of patience by parenting.
yeah.
It's that delicate balance again. Just finding what works for each child,
Yeah.
and not a one mold fits all kind
Exactly.
of. Yeah.
So still on that thought, you have two children of two different sets, which is male and female. Would you say there's a universal answer or universal way to train both of them, or you have to give a separate answer for the same problems to two of them? So if the guy comes and, like you said, career-wise now, would you push him or guide him, because you don't, like you said, you don't actually dictate what they would do? Would you say you guide him as to the career he would take differently than the way you guide your daughter, that's a female child, to the career path she would take different?
Well, for me, I don't particularly see a gender mold when it comes to career path. And even for my children, I try as much as possible to let them know that there's nothing that is predominantly a male way of doing things or a female way of getting things done. No, I don't believe in those gender roles when it comes to things. Although we still butt heads, because the reality of things is that there are some roles that are more, especially when it comes to, domestic workers. Both of them have been domesticated. So I'm not going to say that because as a boy, you don't have to learn how to cook, or because you're a girl, then I have to have a map, or you don't have to learn to wash car or drive a car, So I think for me, I don't dictate any gender role when it comes to either your profession or it comes to learning how to get something done or how to do something. Of course, there are things that are more peculiar to each sex, and then you try to address those issues, as it is the peculiarity of their sex. But more often than not, it's a blanket sheet. Everything that applies to this applies to that.
Okay, so now I want to come at you from a mother's perspective. It's said that as a woman, you start building a relationship with your child from the womb, which is different from the man, because men don't have a womb. So is it true? That's the first thing. And then secondly, if it's true, how do you build that relationship from the womb?
I don't think I also agree with the fact that because men don't have a womb, they can't build relationships with the womb.
Well,
I believe men can also.
We'll keep you in the loop while we a man.
Just becoming gender centric anyway in this world.
Well, Victor, I agree with you that, the man can also get to know their child from the womb. But, the peculiarity of the feeling and, kind of trying to know what kind of child you are bearing is heavy on the woman. And I could tell from my pregnancy, I could almost predict how the child would be from the way they related with me from the womb. I knew my daughter, once she got out, was probably going to be a little bit clingy. I could sense it because of how she acted, Yes, even like talking to people, trying to help people, she would move away.
Wow.
So I knew from that I think this baby would be one that may not generally
Be social.
trust people. Funny enough, she's quite the opposite of what she was in utero. So I knew that for her, she needed more of attention, more of assessing the situation before she really opens up. And that was how she was for the first few years of her life. And I could really sense it. In fact, I remember that I told my husband that I think, one, she's going to be a girl. Two, she's going to be quite clingy as a child.
Before ultrasound, or where you know the child sex, you already knew she was going to be.
Yeah, I thought I sensed it, that maybe because I wanted a girl, I was manifesting a girl because I had a boy, prior. So I was like, I think she'll be a girl, and she'll be a little bit wary of people, and try to. And that was exactly
I have to put you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to. Now, is it that you were the one that made her that by thinking it, or it was that she
was already that, and then just
the reaction I was getting from her of the womb.
Now making me want to get pregnant.
No can get pregnant without proper
It was that kind of vibe I was getting. So I prepared that, okay, I'm going to build a stronger relationship with her right from when so that she can learn how to trust people, and my son was quite the opposite, because you could, from church as a baby, when it was like 2-3 months old, you could from the back of the church, they would pass him to the front of the church, and he had no problem. Everybody was game. He would smile. But once you change hands with my daughter, she knew that she had a gradation. It was either her mom first. She would then take her dad. After her dad, her grandma was game at some. But beyond that, she didn't want any. She was sensitive to touch, to interaction with the environment. So she wasn't someone that you could carry and you could get away with carrying her. But now, like, she's become more trusting and more comfortable.
You said earlier that both your kids are now teenagers. So I want to really ask, how do you try to stay involved in your children's life even as they've grown? Because we understand that when kids grow up, the number one thing almost every human being seek first is independence, what you know as freedom. So they try to, so for some people they kind of detach, while for some people they also want to still be with their parents, but explore the outside world. So how do you try to stay involved while they enjoy while they try to remain independent out there?
So I won't say that I tried as much as possible to make them independently dependent, So raising a child to be independent is key, but still maintaining that cord of dependence. One, they don't even, they can't pay their fees, they can't, so there's still that level of dependence on the parent for their everyday, life needs. Exactly. So, but in that dependence, they must also find their independence, because that is what they would need as a tool for the outside world. Definitely. My son is out of the country now. He's schooling, he's independent technically. He's independent because he's by himself, all alone. But he's also dependent in the sense that the emotional support that he needs, the financial support that he needs, and the support that will make him to become more independent, we are giving it to him. So it's like, a pregnant person, but the baby is dependent.
Yeah.
But it's connected by the placenta, to the mother.
So you're literally funding his independence.
Exactly. I've cut the cord. Yeah, we are funding his independence so that it can, at the end of the day, you want your child to be as independent as possible so that they can begin to make, sense of their own lives. Exactly.
So I find this difficult to blend in, because most parents, especially African parents, are always holding on to their children. Yeah. As much as is your parent that will be on your neck that you should come home, is your parent that will be on your neck that when you want to leave the house, especially the female child. That's the thing. It's easier to make a male child independent because you want the child to be by himself, be able to cater for his family. But once the female child says, okay, I also would like to get a place of my own, I would like to do this, then that way you know that your mother is compelled to rely on, and then she's all vexed. So why is the issue of independence different from the female child and the male child, and should it be that way, and how should it be?
Yeah, I think if you haven't given a child the freedom to express themselves, and to be able to believe in themselves, that they can be by themselves, it becomes a problem. So you haven't given your children, especially the female child, those tools to be able to make decisions by themselves. You just thrust them into an environment. Let's say, for example, the child goes to university, and then you're worrying yourself sick that I don't know what this child is doing. You're calling per second.
Yeah.
You're beasting every moment. I don't think you have achieved your aim if that is your position, you are operating from that position. So I think it's important, while the child is still under your roof, to give them enough tools for them to be able to do what they know it's right to do.
What kind of tools are we talking about here?
Good. A child is making a decision. Let's say, for example, an academic decision, what subjects to make. I'm not the one telling you, I want you to be a lawyer. You discover yourself from your interest, and with the help of your parents, guiding you into your special interest or your focus interest, so that you have made a decision. In terms of relationship too, a child already knows who it is they want to go out with, because you have taken the time to say what kind of person interests you. When do you think it's right for you to have a girlfriend or a boyfriend? All those things you have discussed at home. And it's not based on the opinion that I am giving. It's based on the timing that they think it's right. So even they themselves are not going to go against what they believe in themselves to have been right. Do you get what I'm trying to ask? Because you have made that conversation earlier on, you know that they are going to make the right decisions, not based on your suggestions, but based on what they know and have come to realize that it's right for them.
So in other words, you are saying that the best way to grow a child's confidence in their decision is allowing them make decisions. Then if need be, you correct and adjust decisions they made. So you don't make decisions for them. So allow them make decision, and then you correct or adjust the decision.
I think you put it in a better word than I did.
Yeah, so no, I'm just saying. All right, so since we are also talking to single mothers and very single parents out there, obviously, I think one of the things single parents encounter a lot in children, I wouldn't say I'm the perfect place to say is as a result of not having both parents with them. The most common challenge is resistance they get from their children. So how do you handle a relationship, or how do you try to get involved with a child that is also already resistant to you? I don't get what I'm saying. So I'm not sure you probably experienced it. Probably don't even sound it so far, I can't say. But there are people that they want relationships with their children. They want to get involved in the life of their children, but the child somehow feel come off resistant to them. Like I said, male and female. It can be that you have a good relationship with the guy, but you don't have a relationship with the female because she's like, my mother does not understand me, or you guys just don't connect.
Let me give an example. A typical example is if a typical African home where the dad is not always available, the mom is available, and then at some point the dad now becomes available because he has reached the retirement age and he's around the house, but the children just can't relate to him any longer because he has been away for a while. And when I say away, not necessarily physically away, the fact that he's always at work, and then he starts trying to build a relationship, and the kids are like, I don't know you, we don't really talk. So imagine if you want to talk, your child wants to talk to the dad, and he has to go through the mom to say, let me tell daddy this. And then the father is taking out time to want to talk to the child. But by the time the father comes to sit with them in the living room to watch TV, that's when everybody starts up and then you say, so they are obviously being resistant to the things he is doing, or the way he wants to show love, he wants to build a relationship. In that kind of situation, what should you do as a parent, as a single parent? Especially when you are the one they are resisting, what do you do?
Yeah, I think I would still want to go back to that, building block, which is listening. I mean, you spent your whole life not listening to a child's needs, and all of a sudden, you now want to insert yourself inside the child's life. It may not work. Or if he has to work, then you have to do the extra work that it takes. Because really, there's nobody that you can get him to if you are committed to getting here to them. So listening to a child is very key. You never listened right from when they were young. Mommy, can I do this? When you listen, not listening to hear, but listening to understand a child and their needs, and being able to ask, to say, did you mean this?
To clarify.
To clarify exactly what they meant. Yesterday I had a spat with my daughter when we got home. And I had to listen for what she was saying, because I was hearing her. I thought I was in the right, and I wanted to say, no. If I have told you this, then it makes you say, I know you are right, but you are not listening to how your reaction made me feel. You get what I'm saying? That if what you are saying, although it is right, makes me feel this bad about myself, then maybe you should work out the way you communicate it. And I understood exactly what she said. And even though I knew that I was right, I apologized for you.
Apologize.
Wow, that
Don't think as a parent.
I know that many parents don't do. You said I'm sorry, or you said, do you want rice?
Or
No,
you say,
I'll say I'm coming. Or
I get where you are coming from, and I am sorry
wow.
for saying or reacting.
And there was no earthquake when you said about.
I already feel connected. We're just saying what I'm saying.
I said, look, I get you. I am sorry, and I will work on not reacting this way next time.
Wow.
So
Did you go for that to say, but you said
You said you did not try.
we are since you already accepted that I was right,
Okay.
by the correction that I made. And like I said, sometimes it's such a delicate balance. Sometimes we want to give like a corporal punishment, which in nature overrides the correctional value.
That's so much grammar. Please, man, break it down.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is that somebody does wrong, and whether you want to punish the person with a corporal punishment, or you want to punish the person emotionally, or you want to inflict a form of injury.
Yeah.
Now, that is what you want to do, achieve at the end of the day is correction, right?
Yes.
But if you overflate your disciplinary action,
Then the message you're trying
exactly, it may override the value of the correction that you are trying to do.
So that results to having disciplinarian parents with children as spoiled.
Exactly. Or children that are not spoiled when their parents are around.
Yeah.
But they would decide to be spoiled when they are not there. Because the only thing they know, it's just like they're driving. It's fair. Yes. It's you're driving an animal. I mean, they know that, okay, if they do this, they may get hit. They may not do it. But when you're not there, they will be themselves and try, okay, what exactly are they preventing me from doing? So I think that is, finding that balance. Personally, I don't believe in corporal punishment. It doesn't mean that I've not whooped my kids before.
I was about to ask you that. Do you not beat your children?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can say 96% of the times I did not hit my children. And they still turned out right. I think more often than not, the cultural thing, which is the African thing, and then secondly, parents, transfer their anger and aggression.
Their frustrations.
Their frustration. So if you are angry, deal with yourself. Don't put your anger on your child. Because sometimes what they do, children are inclusive. In fact, I can't even try. I said my son is 6'4". My daughter too is almost my height now. So it's not a question of them. When they will outgrow even your reaction to even beat them after a while. It's true. I mean, by the time I met someone very close to me that the day the father beat the mom and they carried the man from one stage and put him down, that was the last day he beat the wife. So it knows now that they are adjusted. They adjusted. Yeah, exactly. And resetted it by moving in. They didn't touch it. He felt the strength of the child and said that, I cannot. They should not beat him. Exactly.
You might not survive it.
So exactly. So that's the thing there. And you should don't be angry or frustrated or transfer your aggression to your child. I deal with the situation. That's whatever it is they did. You deal with it and put yourself together. And when you make a child raising and understand why you are telling them not to do something. It becomes, I'm not saying that there are other forms of punishment. They've had time out, they've had get up, face the wall for a couple of minutes, or go to your room and think about what you did and come back to tell me how
I think so far all your punishments you laid out other than disciplinary, he's appealing to their sense of reasoning than any other part, because some parents don't care about the reason, they just care about your action. So they don't, and we don't think that your action is prompted by how you think. So how you think will result to how you act. And as African parents, we just go to hit we deal with the result of what we applied and not what.
Yeah. I wish this video came out some years back for my mother would watch.
Yeah, I'm learning now. Yeah, I'm also learning now.
He meant the same.
Yeah, but for someone that, okay, I won't say someone, because personally I think I experienced that to an extent, that both parents are quite different. Because I'm heading, come back to the question, I want to say, is your husband similar in attitude to you? Because for me now, what you just explained was literally my father. He only said 90%, I would say probably 99%, he never hit us or stuff like that. And because he was in, I think he was vast in indoor games and stuff, which kind of resulted to why I love some certain indoor games and that. So he was the one that applies to reasoning. So if you do something wrong, sits you down to discuss with you what happened. And then while my mother was the typical African woman, instead of saying, I'm sorry, go and carry your food, then you know that she's sorry. And
people feel like a home should be a blend of that. If you want to build a relationship with your child, the father, and it can last time, the day he wanted to beat me, he did this. He just used his two fingers and said, what's wrong with you? And they would want to, I'm like, guy, how far? I don't feel it. So that's my dad. But my mom,
well, the truth palm.
That's that because numerous. So it's like the same, but it has to be a blend of two. So is your husband the hitty one? Is it that?
Or you guys are alike?
Or are you alike? Or is it that for you to be able to build a relationship with your children, one should be the good cop, bad cop?
Bad cop kind of scenario.
Both parents can be good cops. That's what the child wants. Hey, the child wants...
And the child will not spoil?
No. You know, more often than not, we're always on the same page when it comes to either discipline or, we're a lot alike because we've talked about how exactly it is we want to raise our kids. So we are a lot more alike, and there are times that my husband feels, I thought you would have my back when I said this, and I'll be, sorry, I did not want to pile on the child. Do you get what I'm saying?
Topic of applying to reason.
Exactly. That's why that's why I didn't chip in a word to say, you should listen to your dad on this or this or this or that or that. I understand. But I've gone back to tell the child that, look here, I just caught you some slack. So know that it's this and this and this and this. And then I would explain to my husband to them, look, I understand. I'm sorry that I didn't back you. I should, but it's just, if I may not have backed him because I would think that maybe he was a little bit extra on it, so I didn't want to fall on the child, on fire that is already burning. So it's that balance, and then he also differs to me a lot too, when it comes to the kids and all that. So it's not perfect, but we are working it, and we are enjoying parenting.
I must ask this question. I don't know about the viewers, but I feel like some people will be watching this and be like, this is Alako way of raising a child. Like, this is a tush way of raising a child. If I did trenches, which when I say trenches, if I'm in the streets, would you think that this method of parenting yes. When I say trenches, people feel like it's just the educated people that this works for.
When I say trench, when I understand the word trenches for what you're saying, I won't say educated. I feel for people that are in the trenches, because of the idea that they are in, when we say trenches, for that understand, we're talking about people that do not have a substantial financial way of living. So because of the need to level up on their finance, they give more time to their work. Then the children experience independence real fast. So they experience independence. For some, I had friends that have experienced independence right from primary school. They had to go to school, come back, prepare themselves, arrange themselves for the next day, and everything, and probably siblings. And so they have to some hard responsibilities to deal with from a young age, while some just had independence, not really responsibility. So they did not have time for sit and talk, because the parents come back, do this, and the parents are off. And so they come back, and whether you've done it or you've not done it, the next thing that is aligned there is the next instruction for the next day. You're just surviving the day as it goes. So how do such parents handle their own relationships and independence? Because automatically children already have a level of independence, and with that young age of independence, they're exposed to some things, like you said, relationships and career. There's the way you handle that with your children, and educated them on how to make decisions. But those people are already exposed to the public or to peers outside, so they already know about sex and relationships way too young before they should. And also when it comes to career, they're already let's say fascinated on the popular belief of doctor, engineer, lawyer. They don't really understand art. My child coming to tell the parent that I want to be a professional photographer. Automatically, a Nigerian father thinks you've chosen to be poor. Like, why would you want to be a photographer? No other thing you want to do. But we've seen with the let's say with development happening in the world, that a photographer is not the end of the world, or being an artist is not the end of the world, and doesn't necessarily mean poverty. So how would you say such parents should handle their children? What can they do because they cannot really change, like I said,
they can't stop their jobs.
Yeah,
they cannot.
So what are some tips? Yeah, what I'll use. What are some tips you will give them to keep their children in line and also keep themselves sane?
Yes.
I'd say that we're all a product of our experiences. So wherever you find yourself, there's something that you can make work. There's something that you can get better at, given the circumstances, to do what you need to do to if your goal at the end of the day is to make your child a better version of themselves, it's that goal is universal, irrespective of where you are coming from, or the disadvantages that you have tonight, or even the time that you think that you don't have. Like they say that it's only the things that we don't want to do that we don't have time for. So if you are being intentional, irrespective of your work schedule, irrespective of your goals that even the life that you are trying to build for that child, if that child knows that they have a father or a mother in you, that they have that confidence that whatever you are doing, it's for them, and you're not letting one outweigh another, still trying to make that balance that I don't have all the time, but on this specific day is our me day. The child looks forward to
that,
and they plan, and you are intentional to glean all the information in that one moment, so that the child knows that you care about nothing else in the world but them for that moment that you have set. I think that helps a lot to build, that's, I won't call it a pseudo, but that's even to foster that relationship and build it in a way that it makes up for whatever it is, the time that you are losing or the time that you have lost with it. So that's what I think. Like I said, that no child comes with a manual, which is true. At the same time, you have to be intentional for you to get what it is exactly that you want to get, which is to make your child a better version of themselves.
Like in a situation where you've done the best, you've balanced, you've built the relationship, you've communicated, and then it turns out that your child becomes the hooligans of this society. The parent of terrorists have parents.
Yes.
Armed robbers have parents. Terrible children out there have parents. And some of their parents did their best, built relationship, but it turned out that way. If you are a parent in that situation, what should you do?
I think before you answer real quick, I want us to also bring something we've been avoiding, because like you said, terrorists have parents. And then for people who read and people who watch movies like I do, now there are terrorist organizations or terrorist cell. I'm just trying to digress and explain how terrorist cell probably works sometimes. Now, beyond the ones that the suicide bombers and whatever, in every organization, there's always the head, the brain box of it. Those ones don't have to come and kill themselves or hold the guns. They just plan out the whole stuff and everything. So sometimes you can see that some of these terrorists are well-to-do. It's not necessarily any child that's in the street that becomes a terrorist. Some are doctors, some are engineers, because some of them are engineers and they built those amazing bombs from their room without having to conduct professional that governments use. So even children that are trained are right to become career-wise and all still end up in their path. So how do you guide them? Because like we understand, how do you guide them? The Bible said in the way they should go. So we understand education does not necessarily prove the way they should go. Education does not, financial knowledge or even relationship does not necessarily prove the way they should go. So how do you also bring the way they should go, that despite whatever, like you said, you give your children the ability to make decisions. So despite whatever decisions they make out there, they don't end up, because they feel that this seems like the right decision, or I'm fighting for the right cause. Because more often than not, most high terrorist targets that have been caught, the reasons are always they are patriotic and they are. No, I'm still trying to digress. There is always patriotic and they are trying to fight for the right cause. So how do you make your children know that the right cause is always God, no matter what? So how do you balance that?
Especially when they've already derailed from God, yes. Yeah. When your child comes out of the path of God and you've done all the things you should do, how do you bring them back, or what should you do as a parent?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's a loaded question both ways. And one thing I tell my kids, that if you kill someone, let me know, so that we'll see where you bury the body and that you bury it well. Yes. What I'm trying to say is, to be trustful or trusting enough that sometimes I wake up and I'm like, is my son, because he's away, is there anything he's going through? Like, I'm searching my spirit. Like 2 days ago, I just woke up, I think it was about 2:30. I had this, I said, he will be surprised really, because I didn't even tell him. I said, there's something wrong. I couldn't place my hand on it, and I was praying for him, So when I called him by his morning, he said, Mom, I'm feeling sick. I have this terrible flu. I've not been able to go for classes for like 2 days. I said, I felt it. I don't know how to say it. More than I want to be invested enough, whether intellectually, emotionally, so that if they are taking a path that they shouldn't take, I will, even if they are not telling me, I'm able to sense it enough to say that exactly that. How far with this, or do you get what I'm trying to say? That's how much.
Are you still in line?
Exactly. That's how much I want to check spiritually and emotionally, and also to be sure that they don't take that path. And I'm not saying that sometimes children won't err. They would, they'll find their path. But at the same time, what's most important really is for them to know that they can come home, they can share their struggles, and then the tools that they need to correct whatever the situation is available. 2 days ago I was watching a movie, I just remembered now. It's Girl Taken. It was a story of a girl that was stolen when she was 2 days old in the hospital. Somebody dressed up as a nurse and stole another baby and kept her for 17 good years.
Wow. Literally trained her.
I'm telling you. So she didn't know any other family. So it was just by coincidence that the baby that they had, the person that they stole their baby, went to the same secondary school with that girl. And people were saying, you guys look alike, you guys look alike. They didn't think they were related. So by stroke of chance, they started a conversation. To cut the long story short, they did a DNA test that was 99.96%.
Wow.
Certain that that they were siblings.
So they were like twins?
They weren't twins. They were siblings, that the mother was the one that birthed both of them. So the DNA confirmed. And it became a law case of extracting that child at 17 years old and placing into. So one family wanted justice. The
other family wanted.
The other family too, but the baby, because she had her parents as a non-biological parents, were so good and connected to her. Do you know that she ran away from her biological parents back to the parents that she knew? the parents that stole her even after the case, the woman was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment. So even after the case, because of the connection, the love, they were wrong. What she wanted really was, she wanted her biological parents to show pity and understanding to her to the parents that stole her. Do you get what I'm saying?
What they were
That's
enforcing?
the power of bond and the power of shared experience. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So, although she knew that her non-biological action did something bad, but that bond she hadn't established with her biological parent, and she still felt safer and comfortable with those ones than with her parents. So what I'm trying to say is that the bond that you build from the start, even the bond that you have refused to build, ultimately will determine what the relationship with your child will be like. So why don't we try to build better bond that can make sure that irrespective of what happens, I mean, if our children become exposed to ideologies that we know is counterproductive to the society, or ideologies that we know that is not even godly, it's making them fall back on that trust and that bond that over the years my parents have taught me this, or my parents have showed me a path that was better, and just slowly bringing them back to that path so that they will see the light and they'll become better versions of themselves.
Well, thank you very much, Miss. All right, so far we've enjoyed, and I think my idea and knowledge about being a parent has been expanded, and thereby kind of make me feel like I should get into being a parent too. But also, I would not rush it because, like I said, a lot of financial talks have been explained in this process, and I don't think I'm let's say that I'm fit for that.
Very expensive as a child.
Yeah, I'm seeing how to be a mother without beating my children. I'm still grilling and thinking about it, that so I can be a mother that will not be throwing slippers at the end.
I don't think I've ever fascinated about teaching my children. I've always had the idea of not wanting to.
You know that you can do it really if you decide that this is what you want to do. I mean, we've had funny situations that I said, okay, I'm buying a kids day. In fact, I dropped them, they were going, my kids were getting constantly late. And I wanted to address that tardiness. I was taking them to school, I got down. In fact, the people at the bus stop, they were dying with laughter. So I was like, so for me, I think it's more of the threat and the action. So I'll be like, that thing is behind the washing machine. So, but ultimately, I don't like violence. None of it. So, and I believe that really hitting a child is a violent act. I don't want to be a violent.
No, it was not violent. Thank you so much, Ma, for today. Any final words to you out there today?
Look, we don't have the manual. Do your best and be intentional, and God will know that you have done your best. And your child too must know that, my mommy and my daddy, they've tried, they are trying, and they can continue to try. There's nothing that tells you this is the antidote to one particular problem. Nothing. But, putting your trust in God and,
in the Bible,
let the word of God and let the spirits be in tune. I don't want to call them manifesting goodness, but, just kind of have that aura that, the vibe that the best of life comes to my children. The best of things come their way, and you putting in the work to do the best that you can do.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And thank you, Jiwa. So if you have any other question or comment, then do well to leave that in the comment section. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Bye for now, and catch up on the next one.
See you.